While you were watching something else, maybe you were watching that rotten football game yesterday, which actually was compelling for a minute. Hey, Will Salmon sending this out on X. Reliever Devin Williams and the Mets in agreement on a 3-year deal, league source tells The Athletic. The value of the deal, more from Will, remains possible, by the way. They can still add it with Diaz. Deal is for $45 million plus a $6 million signing bonus, prorated equal over 3 years. $15 million deferred, that's 5 each year. So it's a deal worth more than $50 million. Williams last year, the Mets are hoping, was just kind of a blip on the radar screen, and the aberration, if you will, because, man, he was so good in Milwaukee. And that's the Devin Williams that the Mets are buying. I think fans are thrilled to learn that maybe there could be a two-headed monster in the back of the bullpen if they bring Diaz back. We'll get into some of the other questions that come from this in a minute. First, I want to know your initial reaction.
Well, my first reaction when I heard this, the number jumps out, right? You're like, where's he compared to everybody else? But the biggest thing to me, all the money is up.
Yeah.
Dylan Cease, 210. You start looking at the deals that are done. 4 guys take qualifying offer. The money is up.
Yeah.
And so Devin Williams got paid above where he probably thought he might get to when he said, I'll be a free agent.
Here's the answer to what you and I were asking the same thing. We were talking about this today. Where does the money kind of rank among current closers? Let's lock.
All right, let me lock in on the financials.
Yeah, D-Row, I knew you were going to ask for that. Here it is. Devin Williams at $17 million a year roughly. So take in this board and know that Devin Williams signed for more than what Aroldis Chapman made last year, more than what Kenley Jansen's made the last couple years annually. And the 3 guys who are really interesting, who aren't on this board, who are watching this with a big smile on their face,
absolutely,
are Andres Munoz, Yohan Duran, and Felix Bautista. Why? Because they're all arbitration eligible. And this is great news for their camp.
Yeah, it's almost like when the NFL started paying linemen. You know, the closers are starting to get paid in this market, or the bullpen guys are getting paid. The other thought with Devin Williams is how does he get this money? And I was saying, so I had to go ahead and search around, ask some sources.
Okay.
He had as many as 10 teams constantly in contact with his camp. And so that's going to push your money up. And then the other thing about it is David Stearns is the guy who drafted him in Milwaukee. So David Stearns, this is his guy. He became the GM when this guy broke into the big leagues. Mm-hmm. You know, a year or two before that, then he brings him to the big leagues, and he puts him in that pen, and then he makes him a closer, then he goes to the Mets. So he's watched the maturation of Devin Williams. And if there's a guy sitting out there right now saying, I can help him get back on track, that was no big deal, it would be David Stearns. And that's what I think he's betting on. I know this guy better than anybody else.
Well, here's another element to this, and I want your thoughts on this, too. This is the back page of the New York Post. It says, city switcher, right? You go from one very difficult New York environment to another very difficult New York environment. Mm-hmm. Now, there are those that think that Devin Williams in Milwaukee flourished because it's not the media center and it's not what New York is from all off the field angles.
Right.
Does that continue? Is New York the problem, or was the fit with the Yankees specifically why we saw the bloated numbers?
Well, it's hard to tell if New York was the problem. He just scuffled with the Yankees, and he happened to be in New York. And that blows up. Had he done that in Queens, it would have been the same result because the media is going to be the media. But I just think he got into such a bad funk. And I go back again to David Stearns, like, hey, I know this guy's mechanics. I know what numbers I'm looking for. I think he really believes he knows Devin Williams better than everybody else. And actually, Devin Williams showed signs of coming out of it, but he just never grasped in New York. And, you know, it reminds me of Randy Johnson. When Randy went to New York and he slapped the camera the first day.
There have been a lot of them, man. Jack McDowell, Randy Johnson, Ed Whitson, guys that come to the Bronx that aren't what they were beforehand.
And I think that's a point, too. The Bronx is different than Queens. It is.
Okay.